Which celebrity is hated for absolutely no reason at all? Not so much anymore, but Jake Lloyd. He was a decent enough child actor, but the hate he received after The Phantom Menace from grown adults was disgusting. The actor who played Jar Jar and the actress who played Rose also got way too much crap for their roles. Star Wars fans can be the worst. Let's go with a historical one. Sonny Liston. Two-time heavyweight boxing champion when boxing was king. Black man born into poverty and was illiterate. Real age unknown. He fled his abusive father and moved to the city. Of course, being an illiterate black street kid in the 40s, he pretty much had to join the gangs. Went to prison. And in prison he started boxing, and it became quickly apparent that he was something special. When he was released, the mob moved him to boxing, where he started co-ing people left, right and center. Boxers were afraid of him. The current champion initially tried to get out of fighting him, but since Sonny had beaten everyone he fought, it was obvious he'd have to fight for the championship. Consider it's likely Liston was in his late 30s, early 40s at this point. Liston, being an uneducated black man with criminal ties, represented something that America hated in the 60s. Liston was hounded by the press and hated by society. He blew through his opponent for the championship. He thought, this is my redemption, the time where society will have to recognize me for who I actually am. He was very excited to come back to his town, expecting a greeting from the mayor and other townsfolk congratulating him for his momentous achievement. Something done for every other champion at the time, but Liston was still hated by society. Liston went on to defend his championship another season, but it didn't make a difference. If anything, the hate was only magnified. After that he lost his spark. He lost to Muhammad Ali twice, and on both fights there was heavy allegation that Liston threw the fight for the mob. He went on to fight for more seasons, but he was done. Beaten by his dad, beaten by society, beaten by the very people he entertained. Sonny Liston was found dead from a rage overdose. At what age, not even Liston knew. Although some suggest the mob killed him, since he was afraid of needles. So that's my example of a celebrity society unjustly hated. R.I.P. Liston. Those who learn about you now know you were a beast and a good man given your circumstances. Although Liston was widely regarded as unbeatable, he lost the title in 1964 to Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, who entered as a 7-1 underdog. Liston retired in his corner due to an inflamed shoulder. Controversy followed, with claims that Liston had been drinking heavily the night before the fight and had entered the bout with a lame shoulder. In his 1965 rematch with Ali, Liston suffered an unexpected first-round knockout that led to unresolved suspicions of a fix. He was still a world-ranked boxer when he died in mysterious circumstances in 1970. Underworld connections and his unrecorded dates of birth and death added to the enigma. A lot of people have forgotten about Corey Haim, so I'm going to tell you his story. He got into the acting business with Corey Feldman. They are the two Coreys of the late 80s. Both were kids. It is no secret that he was sexually abused and exploited by older actors. After he was no longer a child actor, he just became a giant wreck. Mental issues, drug abuse, couldn't hold down a job, couldn't finish a project. For much of his adult life, he was regarded as a washed-out has-been, known for making terrible decisions. He was blamed for everything he did, and everything he did wrong. He was seen as a violent idiot, a bum, a druggie, a loser. His failed attempts to get his life together were turned into a reality show for mass consumption. Feldman, the only person who he could count on, cut ties with him and publicly denounced him as self-destructive. Not without good reason, of course. Because it was extremely exhausting to help as much as he did while also trying to have a career and family. No one in the public has shown him any respect since he became a victim of Hollywood. He died of pneumonia with negative worth, just a few thousand lone dollars to his name, having barely reconciled with Feldman and only his mother as kin. Don't forget his name, because you need to know how Hollywood takes children's innocence, their lives, and finally their dignity. As people mention Charlie Sheen regarding Corey Haim, here's what I have to say on the matter. It was alleged. It has never been confirmed. Doesn't mean he didn't do it. Doesn't mean he did. If he did do it, he was 19 at the time. Let us talk with the hypothetical supposition that he did it. We can't talk about Sheen allegedly raping a younger boy without talking about the fact that he was barely out of adolescence when he did it. Who failed him to make him feel like it was okay to sexually abuse a younger boy? Who covered it up? Did someone sexually abuse him too? We all know now that Sheen has his history of mental health issues. Why couldn't he get help when he was a teenager? These are all topics worth talking about further than just Sheen is a terrible person. Because Haim could have just as easily turned out that way too. After all, he had at least half of the same problems as Sheen in his adult life. On the note of Sheen, dude has been through a lot in terms of drug damage, mental illness, and stroke damage. Think about that before you say oh, yay, that dude is a huge piece of crap. He's done many terrible things, but that doesn't mean we should ignore the reasons behind them. Especially in the same breath that we forgive all of Haim's mistakes knowing what he went through as a child. Back in the day, Rebecca Black. Yes, Friday was a bad song, but she definitely didn't deserve death threats and all of the backlash she got. She was also 13 when that song came out. When I was a kid, 90s, people seemed to love hating on Phil Collins. You couldn't name him without people rolling their eyes and chuckle about how his music sucked. Even famous and respected musicians seem to do this. I remember David Bowie talking about a bad phase of his career as my Phil Collins years. Probably the guy will never make into the top 10 of the best songwriters ever, but I thought his music was quite harmless. In fairness to Bowie, I believe he said something along the lines of he thought that the people attending his concerts at that stage in the 80s should have been at a Phil Collins show instead. It wasn't necessarily meant as a dig at Phil Collins. I think it was because Bowie wasn't accustomed to that level of commercial success or entirely comfortable with his sound at that stage. Hayden Christensen. He gets hate over being bad with his role as Anakin Skywalker as he was only doing his lines as told, and honestly I like the iconic I don't like sand scene. It's the scenes where he's not talking where you can see his acting talent is allowed to shine through. Not even Sam Jackson could make his Mace Windu line sound good. Britney Spears. She had one bad haircut and maybe some other things I forgot about, but then suddenly people started treating her like a psychopath. Pieces of crap like Perez Hilton contributed to her mental woes too. Richard Gere. He never put a gerbil up as you know what, but the rumor became notorious. There's even a Family Guy reference to it. It's funny to imagine this comment was made by Richard Gere. Robert Pattinson. We get it. He did Twilight. Now can we please recognize the other freaking movies he has done? Twilight is not a reason to hate this guy. He hated the series himself. No one hates Twilight more than Pattinson LMAO. Jon Heder. Gets zero respect in the industry and is referred to as the ugliest actor in the industry. All because he typecasted himself with one role, Napoleon Dynamite. Jon Heder came into my work at an ice cream shop with his family. When he walked in I didn't recognize him, but he burst in with his kids and huddled them up and told them we have a giant gift card so you can get whatever you want with the excitement of a little kid. He then went on to try a bunch of different flavors before making his decision. I didn't mind because it was a slow day and I was trying to decipher where I knew him from. My shift was finishing up right when he was about to leave and I asked him if he was who he was, and when he said yes I told him I was a fan of his work and he replied, "Thanks, and I'm a fan of yours. Really cool guy." That made my day. Guy Fieri, the guy's a son. Every time there are large wildfires in California you know Guy Fieri will be there cooking for all the first responders. I think the worst thing he does is sometimes restaurants close after not being able to keep up with new traffic from diners, drive-ins and dives. Most popular young music artists are hated by people outside their target audience because, I dunno, they don't like music not aimed at them. NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, Bieber, One Direction, etc. I remember people losing their crap when it was announced Lance Bass was voicing Sephiroth in Kingdom Hearts, thinking it ruined the character. Spoilers, no it didn't. It's particularly prevalent if the demographic is teenage girls. I've been noticing it all through this thread. Instant vitriol from some people if teenage girls are your main fan base. Nickelback. I mean, sure, their stuff all kinda sounds the same, but people crap on them as if their music is, like, I dunno, nails on a chalkboard meets 100 angry and or dying cats or something. I'm not a fan myself, but it's not really that bad, is it? I know quite a few people who absolutely hate Zooey Deschanel even though she has a squeaky clean image and no scandals to speak of just because of the whole quirky manic pixie dream girl thing she's got going for her. Rebecca Black. She had one cringe song she made as a teenager that I believe her family saved up for a while to make it in the video happen. She was young. It was silly. We all make cringy decisions and songs when we're young. She has since made more music. Surprisingly, since she was bullied so incredibly hard by the internet for years after Friday. The thing that angers me the most about Friday is that I read somewhere a few years ago that the video wasn't meant to be posted online. It was meant to be a bought experience for her and her friends and the video would just be for them. So not only did she get massively bullied by the entire internet, but she was bullied for something they were never meant to see. Victoria Justice. There may be some stuff that I'm not aware about. I'll gladly change my opinion if there is actually more to the hate. But that video where she says I think we all sing does not justify the hate train at all. She was young and it was just an awkward attempt at sarcasm, a joke at worst emo. And it feels like it's all just people hopping on the Tory hate bandwagon. Like I promise you were not as passionate in your hate of Tory Victoria Justice when you watched the show as a kid tween. It's so weird to see fellow early 20-somethings spew so much vitriol about being boring and talentless towards an actress whose character was the normal teen girl protagonist role. Also maybe has to do with the sudden hypersexualization I see of Jade and Beck and the Ariana stans. Pitting these women against each other for what? It started airing in 2010 and you have people that probably enjoyed the show at a young age without toxic critique of the actors, grown up and hating the actors because of opinions they're absorbing on Twitter. In Australia, Delta Goodrem. She's a fantastic singer with a beautiful personality who had a battle with cancer and for some reason people just can't stand her. It's baffling to me. I actually met her once back in 2016. She was so warm and friendly. Obviously I only interacted for about a minute or two but she was nice to me. JoJo Siwa. I don't know her at all, or her music, but people keep bullying her because of how she dresses and telling her she is too old for such crap. Honestly, her audience are kids. WTF were you expecting? I would prefer kids to watch her and try to copy her style rather than being half naked and acting like hoes. She seems such a sweet person and is not harming anyone. I don't understand some people. First they get mad because teenagers show too much but they also get mad because they are not showing enough. Bruh, freaking decide. Adam Sandler. He makes silly movies and vacation spots. Yes, let's hate this guy who keeps reusing same actors who all probably make a good living in a relaxed atmosphere while making movies for audience who get exactly what they expect from each movie. T-Pain. Guy has a great voice and a lot of people love his music. He just chose to use auto-tune to make his style unique. It's not his fault the rest of the music industry decided to turn over using auto-tune into a trend. Usher can't talk about anybody ruining music, not after introducing the world to Justin Bieber. He does have a great voice and won The Masked Singer to the shock of literally all of the judges. They had no idea it was him. Kristen Stewart. Got a bad character in Twilight. Had got crap on ever since. Is she the best? I don't think so. Does she deserve all the hate? I enjoyed her in the Charlie's Angels reboot, and she hasn't been bad in anything else to earn this hatred. She was 21 dating what's-his-face filming Twilight and got caught kissing the director, who was twice her age and married. Somehow he came out unscathed but there was so much shaming toward her. This is our media showing us that they can make us believe anything they want to. Look at Britney Spears. She came out of nowhere to become the hottest girl in country. Then she fricked up just a little bit and the tabloids had a field day. The media drove her to shaving her freaking head. Then she fricked up not buckling her kids in their car seats. And a million pictures of her driving and those crazy suckers chasing her. Then when she had to tell her story on the gossip channels, let her dad give her an allowance and control her life. You started hearing a few good things about her. She's doing okay in Vegas now and even though I don't know this girl, I somehow hope she makes it. I just remember about how she started taking maths tutoring as an adult because she missed so much school but wanted to help her sons with their homework. She didn't get them tutors. She got herself tutoring because she wanted to be an involved mom. You can't tell me she's a bad person, you can't. Kaley Cuoco. It's not her fault The Big Bang Theory was kind of annoying and that she and the show were massively overexposed for a period. She did the best she could do with her character, and even managed to be funny and charming in spots, which was honestly an impressive featuring in that show. I think the hate started when she got the short haircut, which is so weird. She got it for a role and grew it straight out afterwards. And even if she didn't, what was the big freaking deal? She was good in The Flight Attendant. Sinead O'Connor. I listened to one of her songs in Rugrats in Paris and thought her voice was beautiful. Looked for her on several streaming services and couldn't find her. She legit called out what the world needed to hear, but the world didn't want to hear it. I'd say she's one of the earliest victims of cancel culture. Chad Kroeger. Bro, I'll be the first to admit I liked Nickelback. Okay, this is more about Nickelback rather than Kroeger himself. I really like Nickelback. I like their sound and I like most of their songs. I haven't heard a lot of them, but what really annoys me is that people say, oh, all their songs sound the same. Now this is a viable argument, but the thing is that yeah, all bands and musicians have their own sound. Their songs usually sound the same. AC/DC has been making songs that sound the same for almost 40 years now, and people, including me, love them. Sorry, I just had to say that somewhere. Adele when she lost weight. Same with Rebel Wilson. Every story about them lately is overwhelmed with comments about how they were more beautiful before and people preferred them before the weight loss. Or they don't seem as happy now. Yes, you can be beautiful and overweight obese, but it's not just about beauty. Good on them for taking charge of their health. Anne Hathaway. There is an article that lists all the reasons why she sucks and no one wants to work with her in Hollywood. The reasons go like this. 1. She is too perfect. 2. She doesn't have any drama in her life. 3. She is professional. 4. She's always on time. Really dumb things. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.